everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 2 of Buddy Daddies. Maybe this episode, I won't get confused. I was going back and rewatching my reaction to the last episode. I was like, wow, yeah, no, now that you rewatch it, the little girl is absolutely the mob boss's daughter. And so our scenario is quite different from Spy Family, because I know that's been the big criticism about this show, is that it's like a copy. No, it is quite different. It is two hitmen, and during a job, they accidentally murder the father of this little girl who's been sent to live with him. And now she thinks that Kazuki, one of the hitmen, is her father, when in reality, he's the one that's murdered her father. So, fun times, right? The premise of this show is so intriguing, but it's definitely like a black comedy. It's a dark comedy, and I have a very dark sense of humor at times, so I was kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing. It felt very 90s in terms of its comedy, and I'm kind of all here for it. So, you know, I'm ready to see, now that we have two hitmen who are polar opposites, forced to raise a child together, that's the daughter of someone they killed. What do we do with that? And Kazuki, as we found out in the last episode, has this very detailed past where he maybe wanted to be a father and never got the chance to be one. And so now it's like it's his second chance at parenthood. And then you have Rei, who has no interest whatsoever in being a parent. And it's absolutely the funniest damn thing ever. But what's amazing is the voice actors for this series. You have the voice actor, and I'm going to pull it up here because it was told to me through Discord. The voice actor for Kazuki is Haiji from Run with the Wind. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Yes, the voice actor for Rei is Tsukishima and Yurio. Tsukishima from Haikyuu and Yurio from Yuri on Ice. And then the voice actor for Kazuki is Haiji from Run with the Wind. I love both of these voice actors, so it's a win-win situation, right? I'm kind of all about it, but I do have a little bit of a scratchy throat, so I've poured some tea with honey, but so far so good. So in the discussion, I might be editing it a little bit, but I'm really excited. This episode came out today, and I was like, I couldn't wait. I wanted to get home from work and watch it and just see what happens. So I'm pretty excited, y'all. I hope y'all are too, but we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right in and see what they give us. How do you follow up an episode like episode 1? We shall find out. So we're going to watch Buddy Daddies episode 2. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do this. So, oh my gosh. So yeah, hopefully my voice doesn't crack too much in this discussion, but man, our poor boys, they are trying, but they are failing. Oh my gosh, they've got to find a system for Miri. They just have to. There's no way. I give the show props because you know, Spy Family has Lloyd going off and doing the missions by himself, and you're doing missions by herself, and Anya's like at school and stuff. It is very clever that this show does not, the show is focused around Kazuki and Rei, who are our hitmen, and they are not actual parents. They're two hitmen that are contracted to do these jobs for Q-chan, that we find out kind of like deals out different jobs and missions to various hitmen in the area if they happen to be in the neighborhood. And it would make no sense for Kazuki and Rei to be parents and to have to worry about Miri going to school. So cleverly, the show makes Miri 4 years old. She's too young to go to school yet. So they're like, what do we do with her? She's too young to go to school. What do we do? And I'm hoping that they find like, but can they find a babysitter and let on the fact that they're hitmen, right? They've got to find a place to take her. They can't let somebody come into their home, because as we find out from Miri, there are guns and weapons everywhere. There could be stuff that would be incriminating to them, so they can't just have a babysitter come in and watch her. Instead, they need to find a place to take her, right? Now, obviously Q-chan is out because he's not a babysitter. He's got his own job. So I'm thinking they're going to find a daycare to take her to. But that presents its own problems because then they are going to be in danger of someone seeing them, recognizing them from a job, and knowing that they're hitmen. So Miri is just making things very, very complicated. And it seems like by the end of this episode, they're like, oh, we're just going to take her back to her mom, and it's going to be that simple. It's not going to be that simple, right? It's just not. But I like that this show is ballsy enough to say, you're not just going to get out of this. Like, I like the fact that she's 4. She's obviously, you know, she's potty trained. She knows what to do, but she can't reach things. The show's very realistic in that regard. And oh my God, these poor men have no clue what to do. Like, it's very obvious that Kazuki wanted to be a father, but never got the chance to do so. And now that he has this kid, he's like, well, I don't know what the hell to do with her. And what I like is that this show is, it's very mature for what it is. Like, he's like, oh, what the hell is this shit? Like, you know, he just throws her in the bathroom. He doesn't know. And then Rei wants nothing to do with her. Now, here's the thing. I think that as this series goes on, Rei is going to be the softie that warms up to her. Rei is going to be the softie that she wins his heart, and he's going to be one that convince Kazuki that they have to take care of her. That's where I'm seeing it go. I'm just seeing the patterns. Papa Rei, or just Rei, not Papa Rei, not Uncle Rei, just Rei. He's going to be the one to fall head over heels for Miri, and he's going to be the one to be like, we've got to keep her. You know? Oh my gosh. I love it. It's so good. But it's so realistic because these guys have no clue what to do. They have no parenting skills whatsoever. They're like, the good thing is that Kazuki knows how to cook. That's like literally the best thing he's got going for him. But even though he wanted to be a parent, he doesn't know what's all entailed in it, right? That seems to have been stripped from him before he got the chance to do anything with it. But that opening scene where she just needs to go to the bathroom, and I like that, like, very much he just opens up, he's like scratching himself. He's like, I don't know what to do with you, kid. And then taking her in, being like, I did not sign up for this. And he like holds her up to get her. He's like, what is this? The OP! I'm just going to say it. The OP is very Spy Family. It's kind of like a knockoff of Mixed Nuts. But it's like, is this true love? I'm like, okay. And we have Rei. And it seems at some point she goes to a daycare in the OP. So maybe that's what they end up. They find a daycare for her. And she ends up bringing Rei and Kazuki closer together, right? But then there's this mysterious assassin, Ogino, who seems very interesting. And the woman in the OP seems like the mom, who's the singer. And then we have Q-chan, who is the mysterious handler for them all. Right? I just love how disdainful Rei is. Rei's posture, everything about him, the fact that Tsukishima's voice actor is playing him, who's also Shigaraki's voice actor. He has a very, like, Shigaraki low energy voice for Rei, which is hilarious. And it's funny, I probably would not have guessed that Kazuki's voice actor was the same as Haiji. I don't know, because he's a very different character than Haiji. And then we see the wife in the OP that obviously he's going to be reminded of. But man, oh my God. Yeah, I love that Miri's like, is this your place where you live, Papa? And it's like, yeah, no, Papa and Rei have a pretty good setup here, right? A pretty darn good home. Mm-hmm. But Kazuki says he's just crashing it. It's not actually his place to live, right? Which is interesting enough because he gets the bedroom and Rei stays in the bathroom, even though it's not his place, right? Which is interesting enough, right? He's like, Miri, play with Papa Rei. And she's like, Papa Rei. And he's like, I'm not your papa. And she's like, Uncle Rei? And he's like, just Rei. And I like to say Mario Kart because they can't say Mario Kart, right? And of course, to Rei's horror, she just dives into his games and immediately wrecks shit. And he's like, I can't do this. It's great. Kiss of death. Yeah, she is literally a kiss of death to them. I like that Kazuki tries to keep like a structure to the family. Like, we say things for our food. That goes for you too, Rei. And Rei's like, oh my God. Like, Rei very much is the loner, right? And Kazuki is like, we'll figure this out with her. And so what's funny is that she's like a messy eater like Rei is, as Kazuki's going through. Basically, the woman sent Miri to the man to try to like blackmail him to getting her child support. Well, now they've killed him. So the question is she going to figure that out? And what do they do with that? And so they're like, well, what do we do with this girl? We can't raise her. We don't really exactly have jobs that are conducive for that. So they decide they're going to send her back to the mom. But they have no clue where she lives. All they know is that she's a singer. And man, for her just to send this kid on a train to find her dad, like, not Mother of the Year, I'm gonna guess. Not Mother of the Year. But he's like, there's nothing to go on. And just Rei looks like he would rather be anywhere else. He just can't do this. He's like, I am not set up to raise children. And so they're like, we're going to go check out things from Q-chan and just leave the TV on. She's a 4-year-old kid. How can she possibly not just sit there and watch TV for 3 hours? Now, the thing of this is that they kind of get in trouble with Q-chan because they made the whole ordeal really flashy and they're not supposed to be known. And Q's like, that's not good. He's like, I can find other people to do your job. And by the end of this episode, he does find someone else to do his job. So that's going to be the thing. Like, are they going to get run out of their position by this guy, Ogino, Ryu? Is Rio's his name. Is Rio going to run him out? Because they have this urgent job they're supposed to do, and they botch it. Which one make note, Kazuki gets coffee when he goes to see Q-chan, and Rei gets like the sugary drink, right? But yeah, they have Ryu look up the girl, and Kyu seems rather, he seems a little bit like suspicious of what's going on. Why am I looking up this boss's like extra affairs? But Kazuki thinks that Kyu is not any the wiser. So I think Q-chan is a pretty interesting character. We don't know much about him, but he like frequents all of these hitmen and they all come in looking for jobs. And so this mysterious man with the very, very square cut chin that Q knows says it's been some time since he's seen him, saying he's back in town. He's got like the little curly Q on his head. And he says, yeah, I'm back in town. I'll be here for a while. So if you have any jobs come up, let me know. And he's like, sure. And it just so happens that the job they botch is the one that he gets to fill in for. Ogino Rio. So yeah, of course they go back. They think that their place has been ransacked, and it's like, no, you just left a 4-year-old to like mess with everything, and she's playing hide and go seek with herself, right? And to the show's credit, they nail a 4-year-old. Like, this is exactly what a 4-year-old would do. Although, I feel like Rei at this point... is not going to have his guns out anymore. I just have a feeling. I'm glad they weren't loaded, though. Glad they were not loaded. I was like, the last thing that little girl needs is, like, a gun. And I love that Rei's like, oh my god, this is just... He's like, we can't leave her home either. I love that Rei is the realist. Rei's like, this isn't going to work. We can't leave her at home. I didn't leave my guns loaded, but we can't leave her with all this stuff. And Kazuki is very kind of idealistic, like, no, we got this. And it's like, no. So they find the whole thing with the gang. And then, so Rei, the funny thing about Rei is with his character is that Rei is very much the type of character that he wants to just go in, guns a-blazing, be as flashy as possible, get it done, and go. And Kazuki has to come up with, like, the strategies, which is not... That's kind of the polar opposite I thought their characters would be. I thought Kazuki would be the one that would want to, like, put on the big show and, like, make it flashy or whatever. And then Rei would be the one that's like, okay, let's be covert, let's be strategic. But it's kind of the opposite. So... It's not what I expected, if I'm honest. But yeah, they get up this idea. What's funny is that Miri brings the hamburger steak over to Kazuki, and she's like, this isn't like Mama's hamburger steak. And Kazuki's like, look at you, you can tell. He's like, I did A-grade ground beef and nutmeg to make it nice and juicy. And he's like, my carefully handcrafted hamburger. And I like Rei sitting there with his chopsticks like, oh my God, really? And then she's like, no. She's like, Mama's is better. And it just crushes Kazuki. And I love that Rei looks over like, the kid gotcha. It's so cute. Because, yeah, Little kids don't have taste buds. They don't know what good food is. They want like a cheeseburger and a potato. That's all they want. They'll eat chicken strips for the rest of their lives if you'll give it to them. Like, they don't care about taste or food or like all the special seasoning. Their taste buds haven't adapted for that. So it's like, she's like, my mom's is better. And her mom's probably like really generic, right? And she's like, I wonder where mama is. And he's like, well, where'd that come from? She's like, I hope she's not too lonely. Meaning that she was probably by herself before Miri left. And he's like, where is your mom? And she's like, and then of course she like gets onto them like a 4-year-old would. And Rei's just like over it. And so then, let me see here. She basically plays hide and go seek to him. And that's where they get the idea of doing hide and go seek with the boss's lair. I like she has a little t-shirt on that says IT. They better find her some new clothes. I'm going to assume that they do that. But they do when she goes, yeah, they did wash her clothes, right? They washed her clothes because she's wearing the same outfit again. I'm like, they need to find her some new gear. Yeah, and Rei's like got his scuba gear and everything. And they do start to attract the neighbor's attention, which is something there because Rei's like, I'm going to get evicted if you don't go. So this is Rei's apartment that they're staying at. And they decide they have to take Miri with them. Otherwise, he could get evicted. And they're like, we don't need that to happen. So their brilliant idea is to put her in the truck and have her wait outside. When she said she had to pee, I was like, Kazuki, you should have let her pee in the bushes. It would have taken you 5 seconds. And then you could have put her back in the truck. That's all you had to do is let her go pee in the bushes, put her back in the truck. Would have been over. But nope, we can't do that. I guess because she couldn't wash her hands then. That wouldn't have worked. They should have packed some hand sanitizer. But again, they're not parents. They have no clue. It's, neither of them seem to have any family experience with siblings or raising kids, so they don't know what to do at all. And so, of course, I like that Rei has like the scuba gear and like went shopping for all the scuba gear and everything, has all the tactical equipment. Like, he is a full-blown assassin. And Kazuki's just like, we'll make this work, right? And the idea they had was to flush them all out towards the water and Rei was going to snipe them down, right? And it'd be the under the radar hit. But Miri with that dang stick. I love they used the video game sounds of her needing to go to the bathroom. She was like sitting there and it was like do 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 do. Like it was very like Mario sounding, or Morio as they bring up. Everything was going all right. Everything was going fine until Miri came in. The sad thing is that when she comes in, she uses the bathroom and she says, thank you very much, mister. And he's like, oh, sure. Glad you didn't have an accident. Like, the guy was actually pretty decent to her. Like, the thug was pretty decent to her. And then she sees Kazuki and he realizes something's up. And then it all goes to hell in a handbasket. Like, everything. They had to put off all the alarms, do the things. They go find the boss while he's playing putt-putt golf. And they're, like, about to kill him and the girl. Like, this little girl, she's seen some shit, but she's only 4 years old, so she can't quite process it, that it's all supposed to be scary. She doesn't quite get it, right? And man, this moment where Rei just, like, snipes him from the window, oh my God. Rei's like, don't mess with my man. I'm surprised he didn't just snipe them all in that moment. But then I guess his goal was to get them all out of there. But I will say, this show, they do like animating Rei, especially in a ghillie suit. Especially in a diving suit. Rei stands up with that silhouette against that sunlight. I'm like, oh man, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. It's fine. They make Rei look really good. And then just the image of Kazuki's like, this should have been plan A. I just come in guns a-blazing. And these guys with their stormtrooper aim. I love Kazuki like grabbing Miri and running and grabbing Rei too as he like runs back. That image is just absolutely hilarious. That might be the thumbnail. But they managed to get out and they're like, we botched the plan. We goofed. We messed up big time. It's not good. And then they blame Miri too. They're like, you flushed the whole plan down the toilet. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he says, and you could have gotten yourself killed. And at that point, he's like, don't scare me like that again. Got it? And then in that moment, it's almost like she realizes that he's not mad at her. He was concerned about her. And she's like, okay, yeah, I won't get you mad again. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then, yeah, they botched the plan up. They're like, she doesn't get it. And so then as she's passed out, the two of them realize, they're like, yeah, we can't keep her here. We can't do our work with the kid around. We got to do something about her. And that's when we get his full name here, Kugi Kyutaro. Kugi Kyutaro. And he's like, crap, Kyu-chan. He's like, and he says, well done. He's like, yeah, listen, and he's like, don't worry, you're off this job now. I'll deal with it. And he's like, right. And the research issue, he had one child with a mistress, a little girl. And he'll send the details later. Okay. And so it ended up being okay because he gave the job to Rio. Mm-hmm. Now the Rio guy, oddly enough, they're like, oh, it's time for us to get this monkey off our backs. And I'm like, you're not getting that monkey off your back. You're going to take her to that mom. She's going to turn out to be a deadbeat. And you're going to take her back because you don't want her to suffer. I know how this song and dance is going to go. But sure. So then we get the ED, which that one picture of them on the beach together where there's Kazuki with the shark inflatable and Rei has like the inner tube. Freaking precious. Some of these images in the ED are freaking cute. Like all her in her little outfits. And then you have Rei and Kazuki holding her hands. The two dads. Like, come on. So then, and that end shot of them like together at the very end, like with her, I'm sorry, but that's just beyond precious. I love it so much. So then we find out that the Rio guy, he finished the job. He says, the last words you'll ever say. And the guy was like, I'll pay you anything. And he shoots him. And he says to the man that he shot, he said, how banal, your last words add nothing of value to my collection. And then we see this man with his chiseled cut and glaring eyes. So he's potentially our antagonist, but how are you an antagonist to antagonists? So, well, I mean, our protagonists are hitmen. So how are hitmen enemies of hitmen? I guess we'll find out. But I really liked this episode. I love the dynamic between Rei and Kazuki trying to raise this little girl. We all know how this is going to go. They're going to take her back to her mom. It's not going to work out. And they're going to want to take her back. But then how do they get her into a daycare? How do they solve this problem? What's Kyu-chan's deal? I like Kyu-chan's character. He's very mysterious. I want to know more about him. There's still questions about Kazuki and his wife. There's lots of questions about Rei. I feel like Rei is going to be the character that steps up as the series goes on and plays more of a role with Miri. I feel like that's going to be the case, that Rei's going to be the one to convince Kazuki to keep her, which is hilarious because right now he wants nothing to do with her. I'm waiting for that character development, but I really think this was a very cute episode to set up that she is going to mess up all their plans and is not welcome on the scene. So, but I guess we'll see, right? I guess we'll see where that will go. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. I think that this episode is setting up Rio, it sets up Kyu, it sets up a little bit with our two guys, and then Miri, and now we have to figure out about this mom and where she fits in all this. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, but in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I will be back hopefully with a better voice and more air to spare for episode 3 of Buddy Daddies.